The Dungeons and Dragons publisher did it again. And I kind of want to talk about two things this video. It's pretty crazy. I went away for 2.5 weeks to Japan, and before I left, I played Dungeons and Dragons' new 3D VTT, Project Sigil, or Sigil, depending how you pronounce it. It doesn't really matter, now more than ever. Because I actually had a great time with it. I thought it was in beta at the time. It obviously had a lot of issues. For example, it could only be played on PC, on high-end PCs. And it was also missing a bunch of features. But I played through the whole thing on stream, and I actually had a really good time. I enjoyed it. And at the time I was seeing other videos and people complain about how it's going to be microtransactions to hell, how it's going to be bad, how it's money grabbing, how Wizards of the Coast are bad. And I remember saying before I left, let's give it a chance and see what they do with it. Well, if you follow the news in the space at all, I got back and Wizards of the Coast had fired 90% of the team that worked on it and cancelled future development and are now rolling it in to D&D Beyond as a kind of half-baked, half-finished product, making me look like an idiot for trusting them and thinking that they were actually going to try and make this good. And I have already said that Project Sigil, it sucks that people got fired. That is awful. Hopefully they got really good severances, and I wish them the best of luck, obviously. But I am kind of happy still that Wizards of the Coast experimented with this. I mean, they failed miserably, probably because they are incompetent. They have a track record at this point of doing stuff like this, but I'm glad that they put money into this and attempted to do it and created those jobs for that short amount of time. Very short amount of time. And I've been accused for being a Wizards of the Coast shill in the past because I'm quite optimistic about the space, but even I am reaching my limit now, because this slots in with a very long line of Wizards of the Coast, D&D's publishers, mess-ups, fundamentally. And they're public relation mess-ups. You can forget everything else, what they're trying to do. They need to hire someone to be the PR guy that is just like, will this make the company look bad? Yes or no? Then we don't do it. Because they obviously don't have someone like that right now. As evidence, because right after they just fired a bunch of people and scrapped a product that a lot of people were quite excited about, they then went after a small mod developer who was creating a mod for Stardew Valley called Baldur's Village, where they put in characters from Baldur's Gate and parts of the world into Stardew Valley in a really cute, fun way. And looking back through this developer's Twitter, they are big Baldur's Gate and D&D fans who honestly didn't deserve any of this. And this mod has been in development since April 2024, at least, probably long before then. So it's been a long time being worked on. And here it is in action a little bit.
You read that title right. The Baldur's Village mod for Stardew Valley is here. That combines two of the greatest games of all of eternity, Baldur's Gate 3 and Stardew Valley.
As you can see, it's a really fun homage and compliment to Baldur's Gate 3 and D&D in general. That genuinely, to me, looks pretty goddamn awesome, and a lot of the community that developed around this also agreed. However, that's not to say that they didn't have issues from the community as well. The developer here says, since we started working on this mod, we not only have received a lot of support, but also a lot of complaints and even attacks. So I'm going to say it for the last time, we are 3 Asian female mod creators with full-time jobs, not your private maids. What we do or not do is our freedom. Apparently they're getting a lot of kickback about how they should develop this mod. It looks stressful, but they powered through for the love of the game. To the point that Sven Vink, who is the head honcho at Larian Studios, the game company that developed Baldur's Gate 3 and is much loved in the game development scene, came out and tweeted, so much love went into this amazing work. He's a big fan. And as far as I can tell, the creator of Stardew Valley also had no problem with this as well. It's a mod created by fans to be played by fans, where they just get to put a little bit of what they love into something else that they love. And since everyone is on board with it, there shouldn't be any issues, right? It's certainly not a threat to anyone or anything, right? Well, allow me to foreshadow a little bit, because March 22nd, Sven Vink says your Baldur's Gate 3 crushes now belong to Wizards of the Coast as the studio leaves D&D behind, prompting a collective nervous gulp. Larian Studios no longer own the Baldur's Gate 3 characters. Wizards of the Coast do. And this is very obvious by the fact that they are flaunting them everywhere. In marketing materials, in actual plays, they're pushing the Baldur's Gate 3 characters and that world and the game everywhere for their own marketing purposes, which, you would do. That isn't an attack on them for that, but the ball is kind of in their court now. But that's okay, because once again, a Stardew Valley mod made by 3 people in their spare time is no threat to the bigger D&D IP. Wait, what do you mean Wizards of the Coast issues a DMCA strike against Baldur's Gate 3 Stardew mod? Sometimes Wizards of the Coast is just gonna Wizards of the Coast, and I don't think there's anything we can do about it, unfortunately. Now, I think Wizards of the Coast were hoping they would just do this, and it's a small thing and it would go under the radar, but people noticed, including once again Sven Vink, who says that free quality fan mods highlighting your characters in other game genres are proof your work resonates and a unique form of word of mouth. In my honest opinion, they shouldn't be treated like commercial ventures that infringe on your property. Yes. This mod is a sign that your work is resonating with people and people love it, and you should allow this to flourish. In fact, it's the whole thought process behind the OGL. D&D's open game license that allows other people to use D&D work, like the core rules, to create their own work. Unfortunately, this does not extend to original characters. Original characters, by the way, that Wizards of the Coast didn't even create. Now, the comment section here does have some points, like protecting your IP can be tricky, but I do hope this gets settled. That is true. Now, the people who probably threw this DMCA strike out probably didn't know any better. It was probably from a position of just protecting their IP, stopping it from going further. There is a thought process where you just shut this stuff down when you see other people using your work. But this never would have happened if they just had that PR guy I was talking about earlier. If it's gonna make the company look bad, don't do it. But they did do it, and now it looks terrible for them, and it sucks because it's not the first time in the past couple of weeks that they've done something like this. Now, either Wizards of the Coast realised that they made a huge mistake, or they saw the backlash online and then decided to roll it back. It's up to you what you think happened, but they did roll it back. Wizards of the Coast apologises for mistaken DMCA on fans' Baldur's Gate 3 Stardew Valley mod. Wizards of the Coast use this a lot. The mistake. They didn't think it through. They just kind of did it. My bad. We'll roll it back. No harm, no foul. In fact, they have done this a ton, going all the way back to the OGL drama when they tried to change the open game license we spoke about earlier. When they said they were just testing the waters, we were just seeing what the reaction would be when they tried to do it over Christmas, under the radar. Now, part of the reason why I don't like normally talking about this, or I try to remain optimistic in this space, is because I like giving people the benefit of the doubt. And I don't like the pitchfork, torch, mob culture where we, chase the monster down the hill kind of thing. But the problem is here that Wizards of the Coast know they're under scrutiny, and they have messed up in the past, and they've admitted to it, and they've come out and said, we are going to make it up to you. And I don't know how the rest of the D&D community feel in general, but I don't feel very made up to. And while the developers of the mod now seem happy after this very stressful time, in a seemingly stressful development period of something that they just want to make, because they're fans of D&D, well, Baldur's Gate 3 at least, they said yesterday, hello everyone, in the past few days we have been actively addressing the situation and we are now able to provide a full explanation. Last week, due to copyright issues, the Baldur's Gate Village mod was temporarily taken down from Nexus. So it's that level of disruption. This unforeseen challenge caught our team off guard and led to confusion and concern among many players. Yeah. Thankfully, the issue is now being clarified and resolved. We sincerely appreciate the understanding and support from Larian Studios, the patience and assistance from the Nexus site team throughout the process, and the thoughtful judgment and professional handling by Wizards of the Coast. This is a very, very generous tweet. We recognise that protecting intellectual property is a complex and serious responsibility, and we're truly grateful that our intentions as both fans and creators have been understood. Fortunately, we are able to move forward. And the fortunately there is really key, because in another world, they very much would be shut down after over a year, I presume, of work. And a lot of fans, including the creators of Baldur's Gate 3 themselves. So why did Wizards of the Coast go for them so hard? Obviously without thinking it through, because they wouldn't have had to roll it back afterwards if they really thought about it. Well, it's because it seems like they have big plans. Saying last month that we'll hear more about Baldur's Gate's future in pretty short order, Hasbro SVP of Games says. They are planning something with the Baldur's Gate 3 world and probably these characters, and they want to roll it out soon. So I believe what's happened is, leading up to this rollout, whatever it may be, they went into tower defense mode and were just pew-pew-pewing anything they could without really thinking about it. Now, also, this doesn't fill me with much confidence now. It's kind of, they've done this to themselves at this point, that they've even affected me, someone excited and optimistic about these things. The amount of things that Wizards of the Coast have announced or tried to do that have not gone the way they wanted to right now is more than I can count. From changing the OGL stuff, to trying to build out a cinematic universe, to trying to make a TV show on Paramount, to creating this 3D VCT Project Sigil, Wizards of the Coast has terrible follow-through. And yes, now Netflix has the rights to the TV show, and I'm excited for that, and I'm going to keep an eye on that. But what's to stop that being cancelled the same way all these other things were just before release? There's nothing. And in fact, it's likely, looking at the history. I also don't love that Wizards of the Coast are holding on so tightly to Baldur's Gate 3 and those characters, a game that came out well over a year ago. In fact, when did Baldur's Gate 3 come out? August 2023. I mean, it's now, a phenomenal game still, and people still play it, and I know it's got an update soon, and I'll be playing it again, but it's an old game. Baldur's Gate 3 is now officially an older game. Wizards of the Coast kind of need to move on from these characters and this world, and hopefully create something as good, though that may not be possible. In fact, my fear is that they're going to run these characters into the ground by overdoing it and putting them in mobile games that are bad and putting them in novels that are bad. And we're just going to get to the point where they ruin the memory of Baldur's Gate 3. And all this comes down to, I truly believe it, that they just don't have someone there saying, hey, this is a bad idea. Hey, this is a good idea. And also, the other issue is that they are very bad at open communication. I've said this before, I'll probably say it again. Wizards of the Coast, talk to us. You do videos on YouTube about the development of D&D in books, and you did talk rarely about the development of Sigil, but we need more. If you had been doing regular dev updates on Project Sigil, talking about the difficulties and what the goals were and how hard it was to achieve, we would actually have a lot more respect for you for trying. Because we would have seen how hard you were trying all the way through and seen that it wasn't possible to make the thing you wanted to create. But we didn't get any of that. Instead, we thought that this was something you were confident in going forwards. You put out a microtransaction with a free 3D mini if you pre-ordered the new core rulebooks for that very thing. And when you put out that free 3D mini, if we paid money and pre-ordered the books, I feel like you knew at that point that the Project Sigil you were promising was never going to come out. That's what it felt like anyway. And if you just had open communication, we would be well aware of what was going on. And honestly, you might find that we will support you more. Right now, it feels like you are a group of people who are operating from the shadows, and we have no idea what is going on behind closed doors. And don't get me wrong, that's entirely your right to do that. Many companies work like that. But to say you're, in the public eye messing up so often and you're being incredibly scrutinized right now, maybe it's a good time to open those doors up a little bit and be honest about your goals for the future and what you're planning and what the difficulties may be and what some of the outcomes may be. Because honestly, if you did a video on YouTube where some designers sat down and they said, you know what our goal is in 2025? We want to make more money because we want to do this, this, this. So how we make more money is this, this, this. That is fundamentally what I think you want, more money, but just being open about that goal and listening to feedback about it, honestly might make me root for you. I might have been like, yeah, try these kind of microtransactions. Yeah, try this, give it a go. But instead, we hear nothing. We hear nothing until you make a faux pas. Then we hear you say, that was a mistake. We apologize so much, we're going to make it up to you guys. Then you just do the same thing. So this video is an open letter to you, Wizards of the Coast, just letting you know that I've often full-on defended you and given you the benefit of the doubt and tried to look at D&D and the community and the surrounding areas really optimistically. But even I, a jolly English lad, can only take so much disappointment before I cave and start making more and more of these. The D&D scandal just got worse videos. Stop making the scandal worse. Anyway, yeah, this video is mostly just to get my frustration out at the whole matter. I'm sure everyone is frustrated. Let me know in the comments what you think of the whole thing. Try and keep things positive if that's possible right now. Thank you for watching.